Hello there, how we doing? We are in week 4. This is our 4th time we're meeting to just get you on the path to 25 sales in 25 weeks. And I'm telling you guys, I am so glad to be here. I have been getting feedback from our title representatives, from our lenders, that just absolutely is amazing. You guys are doing such a great job. I commend you for taking action, because you know, guys, that's what you have to do. Remember, we started off our series, we talked about mindset and we talked about skill set. And here we are in our 4th week, and we want you still to be repeating, when I prospect, I am great, I am successful. When I prospect, I am great, I am successful. When I prospect, I am great and I am successful. And when I prospect, I am great and I am successful. When I say that time and time again, 5 times a day, I'm ingraining in my brain two things. Number 1, when I prospect, I've got great results and I am a great person. That's what I'm saying. So that is working on your mindset. And then we talked about working on your skill set. The skill set that we've shown you in the first part of our series, the second part of our series, the third part, we've been building and building, having you first just go look at open houses. And then we have you do 1 and try it, see how it works. And then we have you do 2 in week 3. 2 in week 4, and now what we're going to have you do is throughout the rest of these series, you're going to watch the videos every week to pick up another little technique that you might have missed the first couple of times through. We're going to actually, instead of having these videos just for you to watch in the classroom, we're going to make them available in a DVD series. We're going to make it available through your title representatives, that you can get this information on a regular basis so you can practice it. And the main thing that we need you to do, is work with our partners. Work in partnership with our people. When you get an escrow, you're representing the buyer. You can control your escrow. It is up to you to say where you want that buyer to go, and we want you to go to our sponsors. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about the final role play that I'm going to be doing today, and it's going to be with the buyer's advisory, and it's also going to be with our questions that we ask, the 18 buyer questions. And so again, I'm going to tell you that no matter what city, no matter what state you're in, you should have some sort of a disclosure. And what you do is you use the disclosure in your Department of Real Estate to bring the buyer either into the office or sit down at their home so you can do a buyer's interview. And you say the Department of Real Estate requires that our agents sit down with you before you buy a home and review this information. Now, I'll be candid with you. Maybe 5% of the agents will sit down ahead of time and show you this. And 95% of the time, they'll shove it right underneath you once you've made an offer and say, you got to sign this. That's just not fair. It's just not fair, guys. So you need to show it to your buyer so they can do the research while they're looking for homes. So they can have all the different websites and all the different links that they can go to as they're buying a home and looking for a home. So utilize this as your springboard. Now, we've talked about the impact schedule the first week, the second week, the third week, and now we're in week 4 and we're talking about it again. Why do you think we spend so much time on the impact schedule? Well, you know, I'd like to share a little story with you. This weekend I was out driving around. I was on my way to the grocery store, and I noticed an open house sign on the corner. And I'd seen this sign, probably in the last 6 months. I just moved to this area, into this new home. And in the last 6 months, I think I had seen this sign every single weekend for the last 6 months. And so as I was teaching this class and I was thinking about this class, I decided I should practice what I preach, and I stopped in. And I asked this agent, what kind of success do you have? And you know, the gal came scooching over. She was a little old lady, probably in her 70s, maybe, or late 70s, early 80s, and she was just wonderful, absolutely wonderful, full of information, full of excitement. And she says to me, you know, Steve, I love this career. And yes, you've seen my signs every single weekend because I time block 50 weeks a year for open houses. Every Saturday, every Sunday for the last 20 years. And I said, how's it working for you? And she said, she kind of got a little tear. She goes, you know, Steve, it's provided me a life and an income that I never dreamed that I could do as an immigrant. I never dreamed that I could do not being from the United States. I never dreamed that I'd be making hundreds of thousands of dollars and being my own boss. And you know, it resonated with me because that's what we're teaching you guys to do. Take it upon yourself to take the action. Take it upon yourself to take the failure and learn from it. And ask the two most important questions. What did I learn? What would I do differently? Because it's important, guys, that every time you get up to bat, every time you do a foul tip or you miss the ball, what could you have done differently to connect and get on base or connect to get that home run? And it all starts with your impact schedule. Blocking your time. Like the little old lady that's making a couple $100,000 a year because she does 2 open houses a weekend, every weekend for the last 18 years. So now, let's talk about the mistakes that inexperienced agents make. You know, guys, unfortunately, when you're first getting in the business, there's a lot of myths like we talked about, buyers are liars. We have a lot of agents that we're working with that, I'll be very candid, are not very good on their skill set. Your ability to write a good contract and negotiate will probably, if you watch this seminars, if you watch our webinar series and you go to our seminars and practice your scripts and practice your dialogue, you'll be better than a lot of these seasoned veterans that have been in it for years. But here's some of the mistakes that you'll make as a new agent. Number one, a listing agent may say, hey, the seller is firm. They won't take any less. Don't accept that. That's just rhetoric, okay? They won't pay closing costs. Yeah, maybe they will. Believing that your counterpart has all the cards. Hey, that's the way it works and you can't do it any differently. No. So these are just some of the things that you need to make sure that you understand that you just don't fall into. Don't make the mistake that when someone says there's only one option, this is it, take it or leave it. There's always lots of options. We believe in win-win or no deal. So again, guys, when you're brand new, you need to find articles that will help you. We call these clippings. So find these clippings and bring them to your open house. Find articles that would be interesting to consumers so you can give them something and they say, wow, that's an item of value. These are the things that you can do as an inexperienced agent that will make you better and better and better. And most importantly, don't have short-term thinking. Don't believe if you went out and you did one open house and you only got one buyer that the numbers are not right. The numbers are proven. 3 buyers per day Saturday, 3 buyers per day Sunday. Where else could you go where you've got an opportunity to make $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 3 times in a day? If you get 3 buyers at $6,000, you can make $18,000 in one day. Where do you get that opportunity? But it starts with your action. If you don't take the action, you'll never be successful. So now, how do we jumpstart or put our program on steroids? We do it by flyering. We've talked about that. We do it by door knocking. We've talked about that. It may be postcards into a neighborhood. It may be information on a recent sale, what we call a just sold flyer or just sold postcard. Okay, it might be a just listed postcard. We might use this pick your neighbor script. And one of the things that's available today is phone numbers. You can get phone number lists just about any place, and you can also have those cross-referenced with the Do Not Disturb list. And then what you can do is you can call no less than 50 people in a neighborhood, and you use this script. You say, "Hi, my name is Steve Ryder, and I'm calling to let you know that I'm having an open house, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to pick your neighbor." And they go, "What?" You say, "Well, quite honestly, the reason I'm calling is 83% of the time a person moves into an area because of a friend, neighbor, or coworker. So I was just giving you an opportunity to pick your own neighbor. I've got an open house right down the street, 123 East Thomas, and I'll be there from 12 to 4. By the way, I'm going to have some lemonade and some pecan sandies. So if you'd like to come by and get some snacks and refreshments, I'd love to have you down. By the way, I'll also have information about the neighborhood, what the houses are selling for. So I'd love to have you stop by and take a look at my open house. Thank you very much. Have a good day." So you can do this time and time and time again to get more people into the neighborhood. Use it as a springboard. You're not doing anything but calling and inviting someone to pick their own neighbor. It's a great tool, guys. You can also put it in print. You can also door knock with it. Remember, with every flyer that you go out and door knock, don't make the mistake of only putting information on one side. Every flyer has two sides. Every flyer has information on the front and information on the back. If you have a pick your neighbor script like this on the front, on the back you might want to have a free home buyer service, right? What's a free home buyer service? A free home buyer service is you helping a buyer for free find a home. You can do that by putting them on an automatic search. They may not know what that is. You can help them by getting all the information that they want and letting them know when the property that when a property comes available that they're looking for, it's going to pop up. When a house is reduced in price, they'll get notified. So these are some services that you can provide. You can put them on some search engines that you have a back door. And when they go in and they're looking, the next morning you come in and you look and it shows you a little notification that your buyer was looking at houses. And so you look and see the houses they were looking at, and then you give them a call and you say, "Hey, I just wanted to touch base, see if I noticed you've been looking at some more homes. I want to see if you have any questions." Or you can act like you didn't know. You say, "Hey, I just touched base, see if you have any questions, if there's anything I can help you with." So offer a free home buyer service and do that either on the phone or do it with a flyer. Remember, you can also take your lender information and put that on a flyer. If you're going to offer new homes, you want an elevation, which is a picture of what the new home looks like, and you want a floor plan so they can picture where the bedrooms are, and you want a price. Monthly payment is always a good way to do it. And if you want to do the principal and interest so it looks a little bit less expensive, just obviously make sure you put your disclosure at the bottom of the flyer. But never, ever, ever go out and market with only one-sided flyer. Now, how else do you generate more traffic through your open house? You do that through your sphere of influence. And a lot of people say, "You know, I don't have a sphere of influence. I don't have a lot of people. I'm not from here." Well, it's easier when you're talking to people and when you're asking for referrals if you give them an example of where they could find their friends. So it says, where do you find your SOI? Your personal friends, their friends, your school connections, your business connections. Might be organizations that you're in. It might be the school soccer, sports for some of your kids. So there's lots of different places. Don't forget your professional services and your trades. If you're getting your hair cut, you can talk to your hairdresser. If you're getting your nails done, if you're going to the dentist or the doctor, these are all tradespeople that can help you. people that are working around your house. Remember, if you're getting your house sprayed by a pest control guy, they typically know what people are selling. And they'll say, hey, you know, one of their clients will say, I'm thinking of selling my house in the next couple of months. So let's, you know, spruce up the, let's do the bug service a little bit more often, or let's make sure we do a good job. I don't want any bugs. So there's lots of tradespeople that know when other people are moving. The postman girl, postal service. So these are just little techniques that you can actually build your sphere of influence by knowing who they are and where they are. And remember, when you sell a new home, every new home buyer is going to bring 3 to 5 friends through that new home. And if you can, you want to make sure that you get the names and the phone numbers of those people. Offer some sort of an enticement, 500 towards your closing costs, a home warranty, whatever you need to entice these friends to work through you. Now, when it comes to negotiating and you're trying to negotiate in a tough market, you need to make sure that you follow the 3 Ps. Be prepared, present the offer, and maintain your position. So, be prepared. Being prepared is sitting down with your buyer and letting them know what the market is doing. Show them houses that have listed at one price and closed at a higher price. Show them in the comps how that's happened so they're prepared for it, number 1. Number 2, get them prepared for a full price offer. Okay? And when you present that offer, you need to make sure you're at full price or maybe a little bit over full. And then when you're trying to maintain a position, one of the things that we've taught our agents is being in a position of leverage where you might have an unfair advantage, and that's with an escalation clause. An escalation clause says that my buyer is offering $500 over full up to a certain amount in increments of $500. So let me give you an example. Let's say the list price is $200,000. We make an offer for $201,000. So we're coming in at $201. And an escalation clause of $500 in $500 increments up to $203. So we start at $1,000 over full. And based on showing us another acceptable offer, we'll raise our offer in $500 increments until we get to $203,000. So you may only raise it once. So you go from 201 to 201.5 or 201 to 202. You don't even make it all the way up to 203, depending on what the other offers look like. So it's important that you understand negotiation and know how to position yourself. Obviously, it's very important that you get lots of education. If you can go to buyer-broker classes and certainly understand the whole buyer-broker process, you'll be in much better shape. The last thing that I'd like to really hit on is knowing your contract. The number 1 reason why agents don't write a contract for a buyer who wants to buy a house, honestly, you don't know how. I know. That sounds terrible, but it's the truth. So you need to write 10 contracts. Every property you go out and look, let's just take it and do a sample contract on that property for $1,000 over full until you have it down. If you know how to do DocuSign, that's great. Here's a little technique. When you're talking to a buyer and you're trying to get them to write, there are questions that you can ask that lead them down the path to a natural offer. And you ask the easy questions first, like, when would you like to close? That's the best question. It's the funnest question because it's the most exciting question. When do you want to close? And they're excited about that. And they say, oh, end of the month or end of next month, or how about the 13th? And you go, great. Now, do you want to do a home warranty? I don't know what that means. Well, what it is, and then you explain it. And then you say, now we can offer that we're going to pay for our own appraisal, or in a bad market, we're going to ask the seller to pay for the appraisal. It's really a buyer cost because we have to get an appraisal because of our loan, so maybe we're going to pay it. So we talk about the questions that would be marked on the contract, right? Close of escrow, you got to figure out a date. Who's going to pay the home warranty? You got to figure that out. who's going to pay for the appraisal. And then we go through earnest money, and we go through types of financing, how much down you're going to put. And then the last question that we ask, always the last question after we go through refrigerator, washer, dryer, we talk about the title company, and obviously we know who that's going to be because that's our preferred vendor. And the last question is, let me ask you, question number 9, what price do you want to offer? And they come up with a price. Sometimes they're going to say, well, what would you say? Well, you say, it's not really up to me. Based on this sale, and this sale, what do you feel comfortable making an offer with? And once they tell you that, then you go right to the contract that's out on the table, and you slide it over and immediately say, what is your legal name? And you start writing in their legal name. Or if it's your computer, the last question you ask is, what's your legal name? And you start typing the offer. And there's no reason to not type up an offer when you're doing your interview with them and give them that offer to take home with them as a sample contract, because they're going to be much more comfortable if they've already seen the contract, if they've already signed the contract. You can actually even take them through the DocuSign process so they're comfortable with it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do our last role play, and this is going to be an actual buyer-broker presentation where we sit down and do a buyer presentation. I have enjoyed working with you guys. Let's call it a day. See ya. Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me. I know you've been dreading trying to find a new home, right?
Yes.
The whole process of going out and looking.
Yes, it's very tiring.
Okay, well, the reason I asked you to sit down with me is what we're going to do is we're just going to go through some forms. Number one, the Department of Real Estate really wants us to go through what we call a buyer's advisory, so you have an idea what you're getting into.
Okay.
Okay, now 95% of the agents will never show you this kind of stuff. They just take you out, look at homes, and then shove it right in front of you right before you buy the home.
Okay.
Okay? So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your needs and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Then we'll take a look at the purchase contract, and I'll just go through some of the highlighted features of it. Okay? And then the buyer's advisory.
Perfect.
Sound good?
Yes.
So let me ask you, you've got your 3 children, correct? And they're, I think it was 8, 11, and 13?
8, 10, and 12.
Okay, I was getting close. Okay, 8, 10, and 12. And so for bedrooms, you mentioned that you're out of room. So
yes.
Are you looking at 4-bedroom, or you want to try and stretch to a 5?
Well, we would like a 4-bedroom with potentially a den or an office.
Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is when we look at listings on the computer, a lot of agents will put in 5 bedrooms, and that means that it's got a closet. And then some of them will put 4-bedroom and a den, which means it doesn't have a closet. And in this case, you guys don't care a closet or not, right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. And then tell me about the living area. Do you want a big, great room, or are you looking more for a traditional living room, family room?
We definitely want a big living room that opens to the kitchen. We're not dining room people, so
Christmas,
right.
Thanksgiving.
We'll go somewhere else.
Right. Okay, perfect. So we don't need the formal dining
No.
room. That's just wasted space.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what about garage? I know your husband is a golfer and he, manly man. Are we okay with a 2-car, or do we need a 3-car?
We need a 3-car for sure.
For the toys,
exactly.
bikes.
Yes. Yes.
All the stuff, skateboards.
And we have a lot of stuff.
Okay, so 3-car garage. Now, there's 2 types of garages out there. One's called a tandem, and the other one's called a true 3-car. The tandem means that you have one bay that's 2 cars could fit, and then there's another room for another car, and then there's 3 that could fit side by side. So would either of those work for you?
Yes, I would prefer to have the side by side.
Okay. But if we had to, we could look at the other one.
Yes.
Okay, so we could look at a tandem. And then you mentioned a swimming pool.
Definitely need a swimming pool.
One of the big motivators, I'm sure.
Yes, for sure.
No pool now, need a pool, get the kids in the pool.
Exactly.
Wear them out.
Right.
Okay, what else?
We are really looking for a single level.
Okay.
So.
Single level. And there's two types of single levels, and we looked at the floor plans a little earlier. We discussed that we had the traditional style with all the bedrooms along the one side, or we also looked at the split floor plan, which has the master on one side and the other bedrooms on the other side, which gives you a little more privacy.
Right.
And as the kids are getting a little older, that might be an option.
Yes, we definitely would prefer a split.
If you can find a split. Okay, perfect. And we talked about price range, and obviously price range can be a moving target. And the reason I say that is today the interest rates are extremely favorable. We're talking right now, we probably have a 3.25% interest rate. And the reason I said we probably have 3.25%, that's on a 30-year fixed.
Okay.
Now some of the people I'm talking to are looking at going on a 15-year. And the biggest thing that people have a misconception of is it's going to be, since it's half as less time, that the payment's going to be twice as much. And typically it's only about 30% more. So if you're looking at $200,000, which is the price range you're looking at, you're going to be about $1,000 if you do a 30-year fixed, but only about $1,350 if you do a 15-year.
That would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be
nice?
nice?
For sure.
I mean, could you imagine having your home paid for in 15 years?
That would be great because I don't see us moving anytime soon. So
we could do $1,000 to $1,400 for a max investment monthly?
Yep.
Okay, we'll say $1,400. And now what I'd like to do is take you through the purchase contract. And on this purchase contract, basically, I'm just going to go through what I call a Reader's Digest of the contract. And the whole reason and rationale is when you get to the contract stage, what typically happens is the realtor fills it out for you.
Okay.
They send it over to you, and they say, sign here, and you've never really even seen it. So there's two forms that I'm going to show you. The first is the actual purchase contract. And it even says right here, attention buyer, and it says, look at all this information. Go through a buyer's advisory. Look at the listing information and have someone really show you what the listing information says and make sure it's accurate.
Okay.
Go through the tax records. If they're saying it's 2,200 square foot, we want to make sure that the house, according to the tax records, is 2,200 square feet.
Right.
Because if the tax records say it's only 2,000 square feet, then you're going to have to fight next time if you buy it saying that it's bigger. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's pretty much what it covers here. And so then on this first page, basically what we have is we just have the buyer, and that's where you and your husband's name will go in, and then the seller, the property address of the purchased property that we're going to make an offer on, and then our financial terms. Okay. We're doing a 5% down. We're doing $200,000 roughly sale price, so 5% of $200,000 is going to be about $10,000, right? We talked about that, and that's going to work for you guys. And then you have money set aside for your closing costs, correct? Okay. Next thing we'll talk about is we'll pick a close of escrow date, and that's always fun. When do you want to close? Any idea when you guys are thinking of closing?
I'm hoping 45 days.
Perfect.
From now.
Perfect. I'm going to put 45 to 60.
Okay.
And that should give us anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks to find a home.
Okay.
And in today's market, it's a little competitive, so we'll talk about how we're going to present an offer in a minute. Okay? The rest of this just talks about when you're going to take possession. We typically take possession at close of escrow, and it talks about some of the personal items. Now, the only thing that I want to make sure that you realize is we're buying a house. We're not at Best Buy.
Right.
We're not picking out appliances.
Okay.
So if they have something that's included that they're willing to offer, we'll take it. But we really don't want to muddy up the offer with a whole bunch of other stuff like the lounge furniture in the back or the patio furniture, anything like that. Okay. Because you guys have all that stuff.
We do.
And if we keep it clean, we've got a much better chance of actually getting the home.
Perfect.
Okay. Over here, we're basically just talking about your financing. So this is all very simple and boilerplate. We know that we've got a pre-qualification. So that just means that as long as you're pre-qualified, if you qualify, you're able to